Studio B, Studio C's going off the air. Studio B, we're going live in 5, 4, 3.
Another 5-minute mystery.
Sound, door opens.
Well, Inspector Keats, back so soon? I thought you were out at the Sheridan estate working on a case.
Sound, door closes. Footsteps.
Well, I was, if you can call it a case.
What do you mean? Didn't old man Sheridan get any threatening letters after all?
Well, he's decided they're just from some old crank and wants the whole thing dismissed. I wish I thought it was that simple. Somehow those letters are just a little too sinister for a crank, and I don't doubt Sheridan's got enemies aplenty.
Yeah, he isn't exactly the nicest guy in town, from what I've heard.
Sound, phone rings.
I'll get it.
Sound, phone pickup.
Police headquarters, Keats speaking. Oh, Mrs. Sheridan. What? Dead? I'll be right out.
Sound, phone slammed down.
Now, Mrs. Sheridan, if you'll just think hard and remember all the details. You were in the room when it happened, weren't you?
Yes.
And Jenkins here?
I was upstairs laying out Mr. Sheridan's things for bed, sir.
I see. Where were you when the shot was fired, Mrs. Sheridan?
Over at the far end of the room by the fireplace. I was sitting in that large chair with my back to my husband.
Then you saw no one enter the room.
No. Charles, Mr. Sheridan, had said a moment before that he thought he heard someone out on the patio. I heard him go to the French door and look out. Next thing I knew, a shot was fired. I heard him groan, and when I turned to look, he was lying on the floor, just as he is now, flat on his back, a bullet through his heart. It was awful.
And you didn't touch the body?
Oh, of course not. I couldn't.
And you, Jenkins?
I heard the shot faintly from upstairs, sir, and I ran down immediately, but Mr. Sheridan was already dead.
Yes, just one more thing, Mrs. Sheridan. This bump on the back of the victim's head. Is there any way you can explain that?
Oh, I would think that's simple enough, Inspector. It no doubt occurred from the force of the fall.
Oh, yes, of course. I hadn't thought of that.
Inspector Keats, you've got to find out who did this awful thing. I won't stay in this house another minute. You see, just this morning, I got a very threatening letter. Now I'm frightened for my own life.
Oh, yes, Mrs. Sheridan, I could see how you would be. And the jury is pretty apt to be determined.
Jury? I don't understand.
Then allow me to make myself clear, Mrs. Sheridan. You're under arrest for the murder of your husband.
Why did the inspector arrest Mrs. Sheridan for her husband's murder? Do you know the clue? In just a moment we'll hear. But first, here's an important message.
You know my favorite snack? Grilled cheese sandwiches. And you know the best thing for a grilled cheese sandwich? Kraft cheese food Velveeta. Oh, yes, the cheddar cheese flavor that's guaranteed to always be creamy rich, delightfully mild. Just what you're looking for. So have Velveeta on hand all the time. It always melts in toast perfectly. Well, of course it would. It's a Kraft product. So why not pick up a loaf or package of Velveeta tomorrow?
And now, back to our story.
Under arrest? You can't arrest me.
Well, if you'll pardon my saying so, Mrs. Sheridan, I think I already have. Mr. Sheridan was not shot unexpectedly by any mysterious visitor. The position of his body is proof enough. It may interest you to know that, contrary to any movies you may recall seeing, a person who suddenly dies while standing, whether from bullets or otherwise, invariably falls forward. Mr. Sheridan is stretched very neatly on his back. And now, Mrs. Sheridan, what about that bump on the back of his head?
I knocked that miserable dog out from behind before I shot him.
I see. Too bad you didn't leave his body as it fell instead of arranging it so neatly. It might have saved you a trip tonight. A ride in the Black Maria.
Tune in again next time when Kraft Cheese Food product Velveeta brings you another 5-minute mystery. And now, the W.W.O.W. Broadcasting Network presents Steve Viola in The Adventures of Sam Spade, Detective.
Sound. Phone ringing. Phone up.
Sam Spade Detective Agency.
It is I, sweetheart.
Sam! Oh, I was worried to death. This office. Glass all over the floor. Holes in the wall.
That was just business going on as usual during altercations, Zeph.
Well, what was it all about, Sam?
They tried, Effie, just tried to pluck my feathers and cook my goose.
On Thanksgiving, too. How could they?
Oh, they were a mean lot.
Are you all right?
Hale and hearty, every giblet in place and not a feather ruffled. Did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was heavenly. Mama had a turkey dinner with sage dressing, cranberry sauce, mashed potatoes, candied yams. Oh, yum.
Hard cider?
A little.
Come clean, Effie.
Well, I had 2 glasses.
Aha!
Everyone was there. Cousin Winnie, Dwight, Catherine Hickey. I was disappointed when you didn't show up, Sam. Did you have Thanksgiving dinner?
Oh, sure.
Where?
At the Helping Hand Rescue Mission, where there's plenty of free parking and never a cover charge. For further details, consult the report, which I will presently be down to dictate on a tasty chronicle of foul play, The Terrified Turkey Caper.
And now, W.W.O.W. brings you the greatest detective of them all in the adventures of Sam Spade.
Sound. Door opens. Footsteps of flat-footed PI.
Sam Spade.
You were waiting for me.
Having Thanksgiving dinner at a rescue mission when Mama cooked a perfectly wonderful dinner.
Thank your mother for me, F. Tell her I'll be over to break wishbones with her tonight. And to atone for my social indifferences, here's a little something I brought for you.
Oh, Sam. Oh, you shouldn't have. It's beautiful. What is it?
A blunderbuss.
A blunder what?
Bus, as in step to the rear of.
Oh, well, what does it do?
Do, F? It's a gun. Our forefathers used it when foraging for feathered food when they settled this abundant continent.
Oh, and it's mine.
To do with what you will.
Where did you get it?
Pencil poised,
Yes, Sam. Who gave it to you?
pad opened,
Yes, but I don't understand.
knees crossed.
Did you meet a founding father?
Don't peek. Date, November 24th, 1950, to Lieutenant Dundee, San Francisco Police, from Samuel Spade, license number 137596. Subject, Turkey. Dear Dundee, this was a big week for the cranberry pickers, the butchers, the sage makers, and the stomach pill people. But for private detectives, it was strictly from hunger. My office door opened only twice a day, once to let me in and once to let me out.
Sound. Door knock.
And when on Wednesday I heard a knock at the door, I went into a paroxysm of delight. Come in, come in.
Sound. Door knock.
Come in. Entrez-vous. Herring komen. Entrato. Venito indretto. When I ran out of languages, I got up, walked to the door, and opened it. Standing there was a small, middle-aged man with a pink, bald head. His blue serge suit needed pressing, and he was nervously fingering a strawberry birthmark under his left ear.
Mr. Samuel Spade?
I am.
May I have a moment with you?
You may have several, but not in the corridor. It's not in my lease.
Oh, I'll come in.
Good, good, good.
Sound. Door closes, then chairs scrape on floor.
Well,
You'll have to excuse me, Mr. Spade. I've had so few dealings with private detectives. I find it hard to begin.
well,
Perhaps I shouldn't have come at all. Goodbye.
now, wait a minute. Maybe I can help you.
Well, you see, oh, what's the use? You won't believe me. Nobody does. I'd really better go.
Wait. I'll believe you. All I ask is a chance. Now let's start with your name.
My name?
Yes.
Yes, my name. To begin with, you won't believe that, but I can verify that. Yes, I can. It's in the registration book of the Old Colony Hotel, in the 1943 phone book, and on my old driver's license, and on.
I'll have to know it before I can verify it.
Yes, of course you will. It's Tom.
Well, that's not so hard to believe.
Oh, you haven't heard the rest of it. It's Tom Turkey. You see, I told you that you wouldn't believe me. I'd better go.
Oh, no. Let me be the first to believe you, Mr. Tom. Now, what's your problem?
Oh, dear. That's even harder to explain.
Well, now that I don't believe, but take a breath and jump into it.
Breath, yes. Well, my name is Tom Turkey, and they're going to kill me for Thanksgiving.
Well, I had asked for it and I had gotten it. And I sat back wondering who had gone to all the trouble to play this funny joke on me. I was looking at my hand to see if there was any itching powder on it where he had shaken it when
Sound. Phone ringing.
my phone rang. I lifted the receiver, swung around in my swivel, and gazed out onto the street. It was Al Cucel calling, a private eye whose reputation was shadier than a mushroom cellar.
Hey, Spade.
Al!
Haven't seen that much of you, Spade. We got to get together.
Yeah, well, so long.
Wait. I'll tell you why I called. I've had a pest in my office. Keeps coming back. He thinks he's a turkey somebody wants to dress. Yeah, I brushed him, but your name came up, and I just wanted to warn you. He might be in to see you.
I'm confused, Al. I've never known you to turn your back on a buck.
Oh, I don't want any of this one. His buttons are loose. My advice is that you bounce him.
Well, we've never traded advice before, Cucel. Why now?
Well, after all, we're in the same racket, Sammy. If we can't help each other, then we...
Oh, sure, Al. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, give me a ring. You know, we got to get together sometime.
Oh, yeah. When I get a free night, those Jimmy parking meters.
Yeah, that will be... Oh, yeah, parking meters. Yeah, I'll see you later, Speedy.
Sound. Phone hang up.
I turned back to the desk, and what I saw in front of me was an empty chair. Tom Turkey had taken wing. I got up and walked to the window, and a minute later, I saw him coming out of the building downstairs and start to cross the street. And then I saw something else. A large 4-ton truck was tearing down the street, picking up speed. Instinctively, I shouted a warning. At the last moment, Tom Turkey scrambled from in front of the truck and disappeared into the alleyway. The truck roared up the street, and on its side was printed in gold letters, "Hickeys, you drive it." There was nothing to say it wasn't coincidence, this near mishap, but somehow I found myself intrigued and wanting to hear more of the little guy's story. He said the Old Colony Hotel. On the way, I stopped at the library, found an old 1943 phone book and looked. He was listed, Thomas Turkey, it said. Out of curiosity, I rang the number.
Hello.
I'm wondering if you can help me. I'm inquiring about a Mr. Turkey.
Turkey? This ain't his number no more.
I know.
I haven't had any calls for him in years. Corny name.
Yeah, I know.
I knew a woman named Rabbit once, Mrs. Rabbit.
Yeah, well, about Turkey, could you remember what he looked like?
I don't. Hey, Manny! What did Turkey look like?
What? Oh, small man around 50, nice fella.
Oh, yeah! Small man, round 50, nice fella, Manny says.
A strawberry under his left ear?
Strawberry under his left ear, Manny?
Yeah, strawberry under his left ear.
Yeah, strawberry under his left ear.
Well, thank you, madam, for your information, and thanks to Manny.
Well, you're welcome, but I don't know what you're gonna do with it. Old man Turkey's dead. Been dead for years.
Curiouser and curiouser, I thought. They had described the man who'd come to my office 20 minutes ago, and now he'd been dead for years. Well, I continued on to the Old Colony Hotel. Rooms, 75 cents, the sign said. Tom's room was 114.
Sound. Door knocks.
Who is it?
It's Sam Spade.
Sound. Footsteps. Door chain. Door open.
Oh, come in, Mr. Spade. I'm sorry, Mr. Spade. I didn't think you really believed me.
I'm not sure I do yet. Tell me, was that truck an accident?
I don't think so. They made 3 attempts before to kill me. Somebody tried to push me in front of a train, and then a wheelchair full of cement fell off a building and just missed me. Then I was shot at.
Who are they? And why would they want to kill you?
I don't know. I just don't know.
Look, I dialed your old phone number, and the people who answered said you're dead.
Oh, a lot of people think I'm dead.
Yeah, well, look, do you still want me to work for you?
Oh, yes, yes, please.
Well, you'll have to tell me more then. I can't...
I guess I'd better tell you everything. It's hard to talk about, Mr. Spade. It's not easy to admit to someone you've been a foolish man. You see, I had just turned 50. I was quite tired of the life I'd led. Improper, dull, and unfruitful, except in money. My business was wearing, and so was my wife, Henrietta.
Oh, this has a traditional ring.
Anyway, to make it short, I decided to run away. One day I drove to work. I parked my car in the middle of the Bay Bridge with a suicide note left inside and disappeared.
Where did you go?
Oh, all over the world. I took a job on a boat. I did, on a boat. And then I settled in Sao Paulo, Brazil, under another name.
Now you're back. Why?
Maybe I got lonely. Maybe I got wiser. Maybe I felt I'd paid enough for my mistakes. Let's just say I'm back. I want to be with Henrietta.
Have you seen her?
I've checked into this hotel and wrote her a note saying I was not dead. I was back in San Francisco, and I wanted to come back to her if she would still have me. But I told her I wouldn't bother her unless she wanted to see me, that she could contact me here. And that was a week ago.
And you haven't heard from her?
No, and almost right away, these attempts on my life began.
I see. All right, what's her address?
3118 Monroe. She's taken her maiden name again. York. Henrietta York.
Come on, let's go.
No, I'm not going to see her unless she asks me.
Look, you're going to my apartment. Nobody will bother you there.
And you're going to see Henrietta?
That's right.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Spade. You do believe me. I think I'm really ready to face the world again now.
I deposited Tom in my apartment with instructions to open the door to no one but me. Then I proceeded to 3118 Monroe in the high rent district. I was ushered through a comely portico by a Japanese maid who told me to wait in the study, which was heavy with mahogany. In a moment, two people came in. The woman wore a black dress, silver pendant, flat shoes, and a complexion the color of apple meat. She was Miss Henrietta York and/or Mrs. Tom Turkey. The man turned out to be Leander Luce, the lady's attorney, business manager, and canasta partner.
You say you have something important to discuss with me, Mr. Spade?
I do.
I hope you don't mind my asking Mr. Luce to be here.
Not at all.
Well?
Mrs. Turkey, I've just talked to your husband, Tom.
Mr. Spade, if you please.
I say something?
A rather feeble attempt at comedy, Mr. Spade.
I wasn't trying for laughs. You are Mrs. Turkey, aren't you?
I was.
You undoubtedly still are.
I've expected to hear another one of these cruel jokes about my name.
At Thanksgiving time, Mr. Spade, someone was always going to stuff Tom, baste him, dress him, slice him.
This season, they're going to kill him.
They're not going to kill him. He's already dead.
He's not dead, Mrs. Turkey, and you should know it.
I should?
Yes, he sent you a letter saying he was back in San Francisco and wanted to see you.
Mr. Spade, this has gone absolutely far enough.
Not quite. What about the letter?
I know of no such letter.
I see. Well, thank you for your time. I'm sorry I bothered you.
You used bad judgment in coming in the first place.
Yes, maybe you're right. There was falsehood in here someplace, and it stuck out like a fat man in tights. The only thing to do is to go back to my apartment, get Tom Turkey, and confront Mrs. T in the flesh. But when I got back to my apartment building, I spotted in rapid succession, 1, an ambulance, 2, a police car, and upstairs outside my half-open apartment door, I spotted 3, you.
I've been expecting you.
What's going on, Dundee?
Serious, Sam. Serious.
Who's that bald-headed man moving around my apartment?
Him, that's Uffelman, the new medical examiner. Checking a stiff on your rug.
I stepped around you, Lieutenant, and pushed the door open all the way. I saw Uffelman kneeling over the body and a couple of men from homicide taking photos. I moved into the room feeling nothing good. The little guy had given me a job, and while I was yakking with his wife, somebody got to him, and in my apartment where I stashed him. Uffelman stood up, and I looked down at the body. Then I looked again. Who I saw wasn't Tom Turkey at all. It was the late Private Eye, Al Cucel.
You are listening to another adventure of radio's most famous detective, Sam Spade. In just a moment, we'll return to the second act of The Adventures of Sam Spade. But first, you're going to love that Monday through Friday night session of Smiles. Beulah is back with Hattie McDaniel, again starring as the overgenerous, over-anxious to be wed damsel holding forth on the W.W.O.W. radio network. Starting Monday night, listen for Beulah and the Henderson family in a new season of delightful day-to-day doings. Beulah joins the Fall Parade of Stars back to W.W.O.W. radio beginning Monday night. And now, back to the terrified turkey caper. Tonight's adventure with the most famous private detective of them all, Sam Spade.
While the men from homicide were taking pictures, etc., you and I, Lieutenant, were going round and round on the question, if I didn't kill the man found in my room, who did? And you were sufficiently impressed with my insults, Dundee, not to hold me for the murder. We bowed to each other, and I left. Picking back to the truck that almost ran Turkey down, I went around to the Hickey's U-Drive Truck Rental Company garage.
Sound, engine turning.
Yeah, what do you...
Sound, motor off.
What do you want?
I'm a detective. Could you give me a list of names of everybody who rented a truck from you for the past few days?
Sure.
He handed me a big registration book, and I read every name for the past week. For the first 5 days, they all seemed to be nice, normal names. And then the names for the rentals of the day before was the name of John Smith. John had given his address as 7200 Kearney, and I happened to know that Kearney only went up to 2000. The dispatcher said that Smith had only returned the truck about 3 hours before, and he remembered him as an ugly, heavy-set, rough-voiced character who looked like an ex-longshoreman. They'd already washed the truck, so any fingerprints were all loused up.
Sound, door knocks. Door opens.
Well, it's Mr. Spade again.
Look, I'd like to speak with Mrs. Turkey, Miss York, if you don't mind.
Come in, come in.
Sound, door closed. Footsteps.
Well, I was sure you'd look into this affair a little more and realize it was just a blind alley, a hoax of some kind.
Where's Miss York?
Oh, she's upstairs, lying down. The whole affair's upset her, and she asked not to be disturbed. I think the wisest course of action for you, Mr. Spade, is to just let the matter drop.
You can't just let a murder rap drop, Mr. Luce. The police wouldn't hear of it.
What? Murder? Who?
An unfrocked private detective named Al Cucel.
Well, what does this have to do with Henrietta York?
Al Cucel called me earlier today and told me Tom Turkey was a crackpot, a little man with delusions. He tried to talk me off taking this case. He
sounds like a perceiving man.
Well, he didn't perceive winding up in my apartment with a bullet in his head.
Well, that's too bad, but I still say Henrietta...
I left Tom Turkey in my apartment for safekeeping, and when I returned, he was gone and Al Cucel was dead.
Well, that explains it, obviously. This detective knew that Tom Turkey was a phony, and Turkey killed him.
Well, it can figure that way, and a number of other ways.
Mr. Spade, I have no desire to sit here trading subtleties with you. As of yet, no one has demonstrated that the real Tom Turkey actually exists, alive. Now, until you have something more concrete and less mythological, Miss York requests that you do not come around opening up old wounds.
You've made a very eloquent point. Just tell me one thing.
If I can.
When did Tom Turkey disappear? I mean, what month? What year?
It was, 1943, November, but I'm not sure of the exact day. I think it was in the third week.
Could it have been on Thanksgiving?
Very possibly. Yes, very possibly.
I returned thoughtfully to my office and did a little rapid mental arithmetic and came up with the number 7. From November 23, 1943 to November 23, 1950 was 7 years to the day. And I pondered this. What did the number 7 mean to the life or death of Tom Turkey? I had just hit upon the answer and was crying eureka when my office door opened, unknocked, and a visitor came in unannounced. He was ugly, heavy-set, and looked like a next longshoreman. I waited to see if his voice checked.
Sound, door opens. Heavy footsteps.
You Spade?
Whom should I say is calling?
Captain John Smith. And here's my calling card.
Sound, gunshot.
The first shot grazed my shoulder and tore through the padding in my coat.
Sound, gunshot.
The second bullet hit the water cooler and it crashed over, water and all, right on top of me.
Sound, gunshot.
Where the third bullet hit, I wasn't sure at the time because darkness came rushing through my head like a freight train. When I opened my eyes again, I expected St. Peter to be measuring my wing size. But all I saw were dust balls under my desk and a fly bathing itself in a pool of water spreading slowly over the floor. There was blood on my hand, but it came from a glass cut. I was in shambles, but alive. Captain John Smith had shoved off, obviously thinking his bullets had done their work.
Sound, dialing phone. Phone ringing over phone, then pick up.
Homicide, Lieutenant Dundee.
It's Sam, Dundee. Have you found anything more about Tom Turkey?
Nothing, Sam, and frankly, I'm beginning to wonder if there is such a guy.
Well, Dundee, a few minutes ago, a guy by the name of, believe it or not, Captain John Smith just tried to kill me in my office.
Go on, Sam. I find it hard to think that...
You find it hard to think, period.
Really, Sam. So did you get him?
No, but my office is a wreck, and there's a hole blasted in my wall big enough to put a basketball in.
What did he use, a bazooka?
I figured dum-dum bullets.
Dum-dum? Why, that's illegal, isn't it?
Dundee, doesn't it strike you as significant that every attempt at Tom Turkey's life is vicious? As though someone didn't just want to kill him, but mutilate him.
Yeah. Yeah, now that you mention it. Somebody probably wanted to make identification difficult.
Even dead, they didn't want anyone to know who he was. Now listen closely, Dundee, this is real deep. Tom Turkey disappeared on Thanksgiving of 1943. A person has to be missing 7 years before he can be legally dead and his insurance collected. Now, if someone at Turkey insured, they could collect the day after this Thanksgiving, if Turkey didn't show up before.
You mean somebody's trying to kill him for the insurance?
I would say so, Dundee, I would say so. Now hurry up and find them.
Sound, hang up a phone and then pounding on floor.
When I laid down the phone, I heard a heavy pounding. I thought it was in my head until I turned to face the door, and standing there was a small pilgrim with bandy legs and black stockings, pantaloons, white collared coat, and a stovepipe hat.
Sound, more pounding on floor.
Hallelujah!
He wore silver buckles, and what he was pounding on the floor was an 18th century blunderbuss.
Hallelujah! Have I got the right place?
Offhand, I'd say so. If you're looking for Captain John Smith, he just left. Pocahontas is expected any minute.
Now, don't you go trying to confuse me. I'm too thirsty.
What's on your mind, Pilgrim?
Well, I'm looking for a fella named... I'm so thirsty, I forgot.
Sam Spade?
There, that's it, yeah. Oh, you broke your water bottle, huh?
Yeah.
Good. Stuff's poison anyway. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Say, do you happen to have any dark cider around?
Fresh out.
I'm kind of thirsty, Any type of corn squeezins?
Sound, Drawer open, bottle set on desk.
Here, try this.
Sound pours drink.
Well, ah,
Good, huh? You like that?
well, follow me. But before we go, do you suppose we could have a little something for the road? It's bitter cold.
I gave him a little, but not too much because I didn't want him to lose his way. He led me down Market Street where he could look in the liquor store windows. He said it gave him a comfortable feeling to know there was so much good in the world. And then we turned right a few blocks until we came to the Helping Hand Mission.
Sound Salvation Army band playing.
Across its gray front hung a banner promising food and comfort for the unfortunate. And on the street in front of it, there was a brass band sending out signals to fraternity that any minute the great feast of Thanksgiving would begin. The band members and other volunteer workers were all dressed as pilgrims. My pilgrim led me to a dark corner of the club room. Sitting there unhappily was none other than Tom Turkey.
Hello, Mr. Spade.
Hello, Tom. What happened at my apartment and why did you run away?
Well, I was afraid. You told me not to answer the door until you came back. Well, somebody knocked on the door and said it was you, so I opened it and two men came in.
Tell me, was one of them Alcachel?
Yes, the detective. The other one was a big, ugly-looking fellow. When they saw I was alone, they started arguing.
About what?
Well, the detective said now that he brought the ugly man there, he wanted his money.
Yeah.
The ugly man pulled his gun and they started to fight. I slipped out the door, but when I was halfway downstairs, I heard a shot and I kept on running.
Well, Al Cucel is dead.
Oh, my. I thought so. This was the only place I could think of to hide. Oh, when Henrietta finds out I've been mixed up in a murder, she'll never take me back.
Ah, Henrietta. Say, tell me, did your wife ever have any insurance on you?
Oh, before I ran away, she did. A $50,000 policy. Oh, that would have elapsed by now.
Maybe. Did it have a suicide clause in it?
Suicide? Well, no, it didn't. I remember.
Yeah. You'd like to talk with Henrietta, wouldn't you? All right. Here's a phone number. Call her up and tell her where you are.
Oh, dear. I don't think I could. I'm too frightened.
You've got to do something to help yourself. If not, by midnight, you might be a cold turkey. Sorry, that just slipped out.
Oh, all right. I'll do it.
Well, he made the call, and when he returned, he said a man had answered and said Henrietta would come down and pick Tom up. He didn't want to wait, but I sat on him. The pilgrim brought us a turkey dinner, saying he couldn't stand food himself, and we munched a spell. In a little while, a limousine pulled up in front of the mission with someone in back whom I couldn't see. A chauffeur stepped out and came in inquiring for Tom Turkey. It was Captain John Smith himself. And when he saw me, a look of shocked surprise came over his unhandsome face.
Sound running footsteps, furniture crashes.
Hoping to catch him off balance, I dove at him. It was the liveliest thing that had happened at the Helping Hand mission in years. There was good odds, too. Money was even changing hands, and when the odds started going against me, I realized they better come up with something.
Here, use this, partner.
And I did. The bandy-legged pilgrim stuffed his blunderbuss right in my hand, and I swung.
Sound smack.
Smith dropped like a pheasant on the wing. I looked up. The passenger from the limousine was just coming in.
Here, and what's the meaning of this?
It means, Leander Luce, that you're not going to carve Tom Turkey up for his insurance policy.
Hallelujah. Drumstick, anyone?
Period. End of report.
Sam, I don't understand.
Well, it's as plain as the cranberry stain on your dress, F. Luce, as Henrietta's business manager, had her power of attorney, and secretly he kept making the payments on Tom Turkey's insurance policy.
Oh, and then he'd collect for Henrietta and keep the money himself.
Effie, sometimes your lightning mind frightens me. Now go type that up.
Sound quick footsteps of Effie leaving.
There are more good times coming to W.W.O.W. There's fun and laughs later tonight when Ed Gardner stars in Duffy's Tavern. As usual, Duffy won't be there, but Archie the manager will definitely be on hand to serve his blue plate special of grilled English language.
Sound quick footsteps of Effie approaching.
Here it is, Sam. Sam, the man who killed Al Cuchell and tried to kill you, was his name really Captain John Smith?
Now, Effie, could we have a Thanksgiving caper without a Captain John Smith? It wouldn't be right.
Oh, that was quite a coincidence, wasn't it?
Well, if you promise not to tell anyone.
Oh, I won't.
His real name was Michael Giuseppe Oblonsky Smith. I called him John for short.
Oh, you're so kind.
Are we going over to your mother's for cold turkey snacks?
All right, but I don't think there'll be much left.
Oh?
You see, my cousin Winnie couldn't find her little boy, and Mother just called and said they found him. He was inside the turkey, eating his way out.
Effie, isn't there no way to curb that tongue of yours?
Oh, there's one way.
All right. Come here.
Ooh. Good night, Sam.
Good night, sweetheart.
The Adventures of Sam Spade was produced by the W.W.O.W. Radio Mystery Hour. The script for tonight's adventure was by Larry Roman and John Michael Hayes. Music was transcribed and performed by Heather Edwards. Sound effects were affected by DeLisa White. In the cast, you heard yours truly, Bob Rutan, Michael Johnson, Alan Dolderer, with Karla Hendrick as Effie and Steve Viola as Sam Spade. Join us next time for more suspense and thrills over the W.W.O.W. Radio Network. So long, America. Bye-bye and bye bonds.
And we're off the air.
Thank you.